Hello, I'm Isaac Heath Martinez, and welcome to Isaac's Haunted Beard. This is my 5 favorite movies of the 1990s from the world of horror. In no specific order, number 1, Army of Darkness, Part 3 in Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy. I know you know this movie, so I don't need to explain to you what it's about, but I will say this. I remember being in the theater, seeing this movie, and granted, I can't back this up. I can't say that I had any proof that this is what was happening, but I just remember feeling as I looked around at the crowd around me, how many people here had seen Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. I feel like a lot of people that I know that are familiar with this trilogy are familiar with this trilogy after the fact. After Army of Darkness exists, then they saw Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And I know that some people saw Army of Darkness on cable and then found out, oh, it's part 3, and they went and they saw these sequels, and that's what I thought was happening with that audience. I remember thinking, God, this is going to be so weird, because I knew that Evil Dead 2 ended with Ash getting sent back in time, and that it was going to start there. But as I discovered when watching the movie, it doesn't exactly start there. It sort of tells the story of how he got there, but it does it in a different way, and it does it so quickly. It's like, first this happened to me, and then this happened to me, and then my arm got possessed, and or my hand, excuse me, and I got a chainsaw, and then, I could imagine just that much information, that much weird, wild information being given to you without having any prior relationship with this story or with this character, that you're just going, God, this is the weirdest beginning to a movie. And yet, I also got the feeling, just based on the energy of the crowd, that they didn't care, that they didn't go, oh, well, I'm out of it, this is too bizarre. I felt like every single person in that theater was with it. And that's just a testament to what a great film Army of Darkness is, that you don't even have to see Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 first, that you can just see Army of Darkness for the first time without knowing it's part 3 in a trilogy, and it's so entertaining that you're with this movie every step of the way. But it is a gift for those of us who had seen Evil Dead, who had seen Evil Dead 2, and saw the ending of Evil Dead 2 and went, you know what, that is a funny ending, that this character gets sent back in time. Sucks to be him, to be stuck in the past, but so be it. And then years later, out of nowhere, for them to make a part 3 and go, hey, guess what? Here's a movie about what it's like for this character to be stuck in the past. And of course now there's the series, Ash vs. Evil Dead, so it continues. But as far as the 90s was concerned, Army of Darkness was quite the experience, and so much so that all these years, it's still a movie that I revisit. I've watched it a bunch of times, and I know for a fact that I'll still watch it a bunch more. Troll 2. I don't actually yet own a standalone copy of Troll 2. I would if I should get the Blu-ray, that would be cool, but I'm admitting that I don't have it, but I have this. This is a Troll and Troll 2 DVD, and what I like about this is not only do you get both films, but I am a sucker for colored cases, and this case is red. Troll 2 is the best worst movie, right? That's the name of the documentary about Troll 2, and Troll 2 is in fact that. I have seen other movies that are candidates for the best worst movie, like Plan 9 from Outer Space. And yet there's some that I've heard of that I haven't seen yet, but of the ones that I've seen, or at least I'll stick it within the world of horror, Troll 2 is a masterpiece. It is exactly what everyone says it is. It is the best worst horror film of all time, and it's really funny, and it's one of those movies where after you watch it, with movies like these, you wonder if, can I watch this again? Like Plan 9 from Outer Space. How many times, if you've seen that movie, how many times have you seen the movie? Because I've seen Plan 9 more than once, and nothing beats that first time, that curiosity just to see what it was like. Because the second thing you're like, it's not really entertaining bad. Like Troll 2 is entertaining bad. Even though you know what's coming up, you're still with it. It's funny every single time you've seen it. And I have seen it a handful of times. So, to make my list of favorite horror films of the 90s, you don't actually have to be scary. As the first movie that I chose proves, because Army of Darkness isn't really scary, but I'd say it's horror enough, and it's definitely part of a horror trilogy for it to be qualified as a horror film. Same with Troll 2. Troll 2, like Chud 2 or Ghoulies 4, is a movie with no trolls in it. It's got goblins. So, Troll 2. This isn't really a video about reviews, just a list that I wanted to share with you. So number 2 is Troll 2. Number 3 is Cemetery Man. This is a film by Michel Sovi. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He's an Italian horror filmmaker. He's only made like 4 movies. And it's weird when someone is that talented stops. Like, it's unusual that you have people who aren't that talented who have like 20 movies in their filmography, like they don't know how to stop. And then you get like these brilliant visionary artists, auteurs, filmmakers who make movies like Cemetery Man, which to me is like a perfect film. It's surreal, it's entertaining, it's even spooky at times, but it's also funny and it's artistic. Why didn't he make more movies? I think at the end of the day, I can't spend too much time questioning it and just be thankful that he did make the movies that he did make, which include films like The Church and Stage Fright. And there's a 4th one, I don't actually know what it is. It's an Italian. It's a movie that was never released in America, so it's really hard to get your hands on. Because it was never released in America, there was never an American translation, because like this one's not really called Cemetery Man, it's called Del Morte Del More. So I don't know what that 4th one's called. But this one it's got Rupert Everett, and it's about a cemetery man. It's about a guy who works in a graveyard where the dead come back to life and he has to kill them again. So there's something about this town that people who die come back and he has to kill them one more time. And that's his job, and he's just used to it. That's just a part of being a cemetery man. So, Cemetery Man, that's my number 3. Number 4 is Dead Alive. Dead Alive is a Peter Jackson film. Peter Jackson is the filmmaker who brought us the Lord of the Rings films and King Kong, the remake of King Kong with Jack Black. What's interesting is I think most people know of Peter Jackson through those films, through Lord of the Rings, and I think they may find out later that he made Dead Alive and before that Bad Taste. But I actually was introduced to Peter Jackson when these movies were brand new. So when Bad Taste came out, and then Dead Alive came out, and then he made like another low-budget culty puppet weirdo movie called Meet the Feebles, and then he started to tiptoe into mainstream movies with The Frighteners, but even that had a very horror-centric plot. To me, this guy was a horror filmmaker, and I was so excited that this guy who was so talented and so creative was making these wild, off-the-wall movies. And then his career, like Sam Raimi did, starting with his roots with the Evil Dead films and then taking him all the way into like Spider-Man, traveled away from it. So you feel like, or I'll speak for myself, I feel like 2 ways about it. Like, the horror fan, I guess the selfish person that I am, wishes that never happened. Like, I don't wish him success. Like, I wish he was just all mine and he got stuck in this horror world forever and he just made these, horror movies for the rest of his life. But then, is that what he wants? I mean, that's not fair. If he wants success and the ability to tell bigger, grander stories, and he achieved that, then that's great for him. And I love his movies so much that I can't help but to wish success for him, and I'm very happy for him. So that's great that he found that success, but he started with not only his roots in horror, but making some of the goriest horror films I've ever seen. Because Dead Alive is the goriest horror film I've ever seen. Before Dead Alive, I remember thinking that Reanimator was the goriest horror film I've ever seen because of the ending. That final scene in the morgue where everyone comes to life and they're just getting all ripped apart. That was really, really gory. And then this came along. And this is graphically violent throughout the entire film, but the finale in the house is just wow. It's wild. And it's funny. And I'm a sucker for comedy. And this movie is not just crazy graphic, but it's also really funny. And it's from the 90s, so it's early 90s, so it's like CGI, which I have like a relationship with. I usually don't prefer it. It doesn't exist in this movie. Nor does it exist in any of the movies that I'm celebrating today. It's just all practical effects, so it looks sticky, it looks real. And this is a movie where another one of those kind of, I guess, like Cemetery Man, where people come back to life, all because of it all originates from a bite from this like monkey rat thing, monster that gets captured and brought to New Zealand and bites someone, and that person gets infected, and that infection travels. Like I said earlier, I'm making excuses. It's not meant to be a review for the movies, just me sharing with you my favorite horror movies in the 90s. And I really feel like I know who's watching these videos. They're more curious of what movies I'm going to say. I really feel like you've seen all these movies. If there's anyone out there who hasn't, and you actually just blindly trust me for whatever reason, I've earned your trust, I thank you, and I highly recommend that you see Dead Alive, because I guarantee you will not be disappointed. And it's got terrific rewatchability. It's so fun. So Dead Alive, number 4. And finally, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. This is part 4 in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And this is a very funny, wild, surreal, bizarre Chainsaw Massacre film. With all the Chainsaw Massacre films, you have the family who are terrorizing, people. And although, eventually you're going to see someone get killed with a chainsaw, I think the Chainsaw Massacre films are more about the family tormenting people than the actual just the killing. And Leatherface is the main villain in that he's the physical embodiment of violence within this family, because he's the one with the chainsaw. And he's the one that you're most scared of. And then the other members of the family are just kind of like, they play second to him, but they're very important because they can talk, and Leatherface doesn't. With this one especially, I definitely know that Leatherface feels like secondary to a character that Matthew McConaughey plays, where he is, as far as like why do I love this movie, Matthew McConaughey. This is the reason why I love this movie, because the character he plays, the brother of this family, he's so hectic and hyper and wild that you may come to this movie to see Leatherface, but you stay for Matthew McConaughey's performance. And it's so over the top, which I'm a sucker for. I'm a sucker for over-the-top performances. That it's something that you can enjoy revisiting over and over again. And I'm going to give you a very interesting, at least in my opinion, interesting suggestion. If you love this movie the way I love this movie, and specifically if you love Matthew McConaughey's performance in this movie, check out a film called Larger Than Life, which is a comedy also from the 90s with Bill Murray. Matthew McConaughey's in that movie, and he kind of plays the same character within a different context, within a comedy context, but he plays like a hick truck driver, conspiracy theory, insane kind of a person, and it's really funny. And this movie just never gets old. And I feel what's fantastic is I remember for many years it was not a very liked movie in the Chainsaw franchise, but I feel like recently it's come around to finding its audience. So better late than never, which I feel like that with a lot of movies. I remember when Halloween 3: Season of the Witch was disregarded as a bad film, but now people who dislike it are actually in the minority, and most people love Halloween 3. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. On a side note, when you watch the movie, if you stick it through the whole thing, like the credits, that title appears on the screen again, but it doesn't say Next Generation. It says Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, that was the original title, but they didn't change it. So, that's interesting. Hey, what are your favorite horror movies from the 90s? Let me know down below on this video, or tweet me. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac's Haunted Bee, and please, if you don't already, subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. And I thank you for spending time with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.